Welcome to the worst of the best podcast. You wanted the best. Well, they didn't freaking make it. So here's what you get. From Canada, Ryan and
Jason. Welcome to another episode of the Worst of the Best podcast. I'm your host, Ryan, and returning back from another... Jason was away again last episode, but first we just want to thank Bob and Zip for stepping up and doing a great job on the Halloween episode. Jason was at a concert. Jason, why don't you just let the listeners know where you were, why you couldn't record last time?
Yeah, I was going to go see Guns N' Roses. So my favorite band, I think that's my 12th or 13th time seeing them. Thankful I got to see them one more time in the jungle. It was a great show, had a great time. And to all the naysayers and haters out there, Axl is still killing it. And I hope to see them again in the near future.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw them in Toronto. Jason saw them in Vancouver, same tour. I think it was just my fourth time. I think maybe fifth. But yeah, great stuff. I got to take my 12-year-old and he had a blast because it's his favorite band. So it's cool to see generation after generation. All right, Jay, I think this topic is something that I know you would be interested in discussing. I'm interested in discussing this, but let me tell everyone what we're doing today. Today, Jason and I are going to unveil some hidden truths of the food industry. Some of these things you probably already know, dear listener. You're probably like, yeah, I already knew that. But I'd be surprised if somebody knew all 10 things that we're going to share today. So these are the best hidden truths. That's what this is. These are the truths that are hidden from the common person, the common consumer, and we're going to pick what we think is the worst kept secret, whatever your reason. So after this is over, Jason, independent of me, and me, independent of Jason, we'll pick what we think is the worst kept secret of the food industry, and we'll give our reason as to why we think that. In today's world, Jason, there are many food companies that deceive people by spreading false information and keeping their unethical practices hidden. Are you surprised by any of this so far?
Money.
Oh, I was going to say, what do you think the main reason is? That's right. The main reason behind this is that all companies are focused on making money. They are willing to do or say anything to convince you, the consumer, to spend your money on their products. It's important to be skeptical and curious about everything you hear or read, and that includes our podcast. So if we're saying something that you're skeptical about, by all means, look it up, research it, and let us know if we're wrong. Because Jason and I are going to dig deep to uncover some truths here, and some of these are very hard to hear, and you might be like, "Ugh, I'm never going to eat that again." At the end of the episode, of course, Jason and I will reveal what we think is the worst truth to uncover. I'm going to start, Jay, with number 10. Did you know this? That U.S. chicken is banned in Europe due to its poor quality. So the conditions in which American chickens, and I don't know if this falls for Canadian, my research didn't say this. I like to think Canadian farm conditions might be better than American, and I don't even know if I'm getting my chicken from Canada, to be honest with you. It could be easily imported from the U.S. I don't know.
I would suggest your chicken's from Canada.
Okay. So the conditions in which American chickens are raised and processed have been widely criticized. Again, people are like, oh, yeah, I know. But I'm going to tell you some more stuff why it's been criticized. After slaughter, the carcasses are typically treated with chlorine baths to eliminate bacteria. However, tests have shown that even after this treatment, harmful bacteria like Salmonella and Listeria, it's one of my favorite Def Leppard songs, can be still present. This is because the chlorine concentration used is not sufficient to effectively eliminate those bacteria. So to put this into perspective, the amount of chlorine needed to kill 99% of bacteria is much higher than what is used in those baths. So they're just not using enough anyways. So in comparison, for example, a swimming pool has a higher chlorine concentration. So you are swimming at your public pool in a higher chlorine concentration than what is being used to kill the bacteria in your chickens that you're eating. So this is one of the reasons why American chicken has been banned from entering the EU since 1997, almost 30 years. Furthermore, since the 1940s, chickens in the U.S. have been fed drugs containing arsenic, such as roxorson. These drugs can be converted into cancer-causing inorganic arsenic in the chickens' bodies. Additionally, chickens are also given antibiotics, which contributes to the growing issue of antibiotic resistance. This resistance to antibiotics is a serious problem that leads to approximately 700,000 deaths worldwide and 2 million illnesses annually in the United States alone. There you go.
I haven't eaten chicken. I've had like maybe a drumstick here or there.
Sure.
In the
I had
last
chicken
2 or
last
3
night.
years. Oh, really? Okay.
We have 4 kids to feed right now. In a perfect world, and a lot of these are going to be the same thing, what I'm about to say here, so I won't repeat myself too much with every single thing that we go over. But in a perfect world, I would like, if you are a meat eater, all my animals to be as humanely treated as they can, open range.
Yeah.
And then when it's time for slaughter, it's time for slaughter, and it's done in a humane way. There's no suffering. That is the ideal world. I want to eat my meat when everything has been done properly, no waste, and all that good stuff. I will admit, again, having to feed 4 kids, and sometimes I wonder, what was this chicken's life? I want to give thanks to the chicken gods or whatever, the meat gods. And I wonder sometimes, I don't know if this animal went through the best conditions to get on my plate. And I hate that. But I admit, I can't just eat carrots. I'm sorry. I know. I don't know.
There is, like you say, the ideal, and then there's reality. And I would suggest everybody needs a healthy dose of protein every day. Your body heals through the process of converting protein into your own body. And we just don't live in that ideal world. You just do the best you can with what's available. It's unfortunate that really chickens, especially the way that they are raised, become a garbage animal, unfortunately. And they're not, if they were left out in open range, they would eat such a variety of food, basically bugs. They'll eat rodents and snakes and spiders and seeds that are naturally occurring around them. I mean, they scratch around in the dirt, eat worms. So they would have quite a variety. Like they'll almost eat anything.
Right.
But unfortunately, in their conditions that they are raised in, it's mostly garbage grains that are probably laced with pesticides and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
So when we can, we do try to buy chickens from farms.
Yeah.
And open range farms, especially. I know when we lived in the States for a few years, actually, ironically, when we lived there for 4 years when I was posted there in the military, we actually got our beef and meat from a farm. Like we would always drive by it and we say, hey, there's our future meals. Like we'd see them out there opening the graze, and at least you just knew the cows were living a good life. And they weren't stuck in those cages and stuff. And they're just out there roaming in this huge field. So you see them open graze and eating their grass, and they're eating healthy. And I miss being able to buy from a local farm. Yeah. All right, Jay, you got the next one.
Yeah. So Michelin stars, is it a blessing or a curse? Now, it's funny that we're bringing this up because I had just read maybe a week or 2 ago about the Michelin stars and where that started. And where that began is the history of it is Michelin when they first were having tires on cars, like when cars just began, Michelin was making their tires, and they wanted to encourage people to drive their cars to wear out their tires. And so they would rate restaurants to help people like drive further away. So they give a restaurant a higher star and then hopefully encourage people to drive to restaurants.
So the Michelin is from the tire for real? I didn't even consider
from the tire company. The tire company would rate restaurants, hoping people would drive to restaurants to wear out their tires.
I never made the connection that it was with the actual company. I just thought maybe Michelin was a word in the English language that means something. Oh, okay.
With that background in mind, the Michelin Guide, which uses a 3-star rating system, sends anonymous reviewers to assess different establishments based on specific criteria. While earning a Michelin star can bring advantages like increased sales and prestige, it also brings its fair share of challenges. Maintaining the stars requires chefs to work long hours and adhere to strict guidelines. Inspections can occur at any time anonymously, so a single bad day can lead to losing a star. This pressure has even resulted in chefs suing Michelin over star ratings. In some instances, restaurants have chosen to close rather than deal with the added pressure and limitations.
Interesting. So it's good to see, hey, this is a 2-star Michelin restaurant, or even a 1-star is a huge honor because it's only out of 3. And so to get a star, you're getting recognition and notoriety. Hey, this is a high-end, high-quality restaurant to maybe justify the cost or the travel, like you're saying, to get to this restaurant, make a reservation type thing. However, the people that are working there get a bad batch of chicken or something comes in bad, and then that anonymous customer comes in, to have the filet mignon with blah blah blah, and they're there to see, do you keep your star? They worked for the Michelin company, and they say this was a really bad service day, and now they take away your star. The guy said, come on, man, one bad day and you're going to wreck our whole business, because everyone's going to see that they used to have a star, now it's gone, or it's gone down in quality as they see it, when it really could have just been a bad day.
Yeah, exactly. And then Michelin has to keep up those standards because they can't recommend a 3-star, like our name associated with the 3 stars. But it isn't. So
yeah, interesting. It's odd. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, it's almost mind your own business, Michelin. If people like our food, they'll come and don't rate us. So here's a question: you own a restaurant, Michelin. Can you somehow say don't rate us? We don't want to be rated. It seems like is it forced upon a restaurant? Do they have any?
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly, I don't think I've ever been that I know of been in a restaurant that has a Michelin rating. Do they have those? And then the other thing is there's so many abilities to review places. Like Yelp used to be a thing, but now we realize that Yelp is or Google reviews, or it's all associated now. Whether it's Michelin or some other system, the pressure to have that social credit is high, probably the highest it's ever been in our society.
I want to recommend a show on Disney Plus. It's a great drama, and it's about a restaurant called The Bear, and it's on Disney Plus. 8 episodes per season, just 2 seasons so far. Third one getting made soon. I will say this: highly recommend the show. It's a drama dealing with a restaurant, but it's some of the best acting and writing you'll ever see.
Around a restaurant?
Yeah, it's called The Bear.
Interesting.
I know. I'm telling you right now, it's
a drama.
It's a drama. Okay. It has comedic moments, tension, high tension, all this, but it's amazing. It truly is an amazing, and they actually deal with the Michelin star as part of the storyline. Okay. All right. Again, I want to let me know in an email if you watched the show or a comment. All right. The next one, number 8. Jay, have you heard about meat being artificially grown?
Absolutely.
I thought it was better than what I learned here in our research. What if there was a way to enjoy tasty beef without harming animals? That sounds like the perfect solution, right? You could taste the meat, tastes like meat, looks like meat, and no cow was killed in the process. That was the understanding I thought I had, is that they could artificially create meat, right? Without involving animals. I truly believe this. And this would also reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. Jason, to produce lab-grown meat, a key ingredient is called fetal bovine serum, which is FBS. So FBS is obtained by slaughtering pregnant cows and draining the blood from their unborn fetuses. This sounds like some Illuminati ritual.
Probably is.
For celebrities.
They're multitasking.
Yeah. So the pregnant cows are drained of their blood from the unborn fetuses. And additionally, growing meat in the lab requires expensive pharmaceutical-grade equipment that consumes a significant amount of energy. Researchers have found that the carbon dioxide emissions per kilogram of lab-grown meat can be 4 to 25 times higher than just growing that cow in the field.
There's a lot more to just this little blurb about the whole process. The part that I don't know is they can start the process with the bovine serum. I don't know how much of those cows have to be killed in order to keep just one fetus per. So I think it's like it's like, what's that sourdough? You have the starter sourdough, and it keeps festering and keeps growing.
Right. Like a potato can grow other potatoes. It's better to sacrifice one cow than thousands to perish.
But I think the bigger problem for me really
is even if you only took the one cow, but to keep creating that artificial meat, the emissions is an issue still.
That this idea that anything that is man-made, as far as food production, is somehow more efficient and effective and healthier than allowing life to do its own thing. Generations of humans have come and gone by just eating normal food. I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert, and people can fact check me on this. But if you were to raise a cow in a field and they eat the grass, it is carbon neutral. They absorb the carbon emissions that they emit.
Nature's balanced itself out.
It does. Nature does balance itself out. Now, the problem is when we take these cows and we put them in the grain-fed cages and we fatten them up the last little bit.
Right.
And most cows are fed in fields and ranch lands. Mm-hmm. And it's only the last couple months, if not just a couple weeks, where they're fattened on grain for the most part. Most of your beef that you eat at the store is raised on ranches and grasslands. And it's just the last couple months where they fatten them up with grains. Grass-fed beef is different than grass-finished beef. Grass-finished beef is a cow that spends their whole life in a ranch, grasslands, versus grass-fed in the first whatever months of life and then fattened up later by grain. Just think of the factory that's needed to be created and built in order to make beef. When you don't have to do that, you just farmers have the cow
procreate and have calves. Even if it just took one fetus, fine. But now we're dealing with, we're saving the cruelty of killing cows that live in the wild to eat their meat. Now we're just pumping all this energy and resources needed to create this lab that would function to feed the whole world. Can you imagine the energy that would suck out of our resources? So save the cow, but kill the planet.
Yes, basically.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
This is maybe my naivety. I understand. Let us know in the comments or in an email. But am I to believe if everyone had electric cars, if everyone right now had all their cars turned to electric vehicles, doesn't it take resources to charge these vehicles and the batteries? And am I wrong about that? Or doesn't fossil fuels, aren't they used to charge the cars? Or
yeah, so some electricity would probably come from coal burning factories. Other things to consider with an electric car would be, where do you get the resources to make the batteries? They're stripping huge, portions of land to get the finite minerals to make the batteries.
This isn't run on air. You have to make batteries. The factories are making these batteries that are making, everything's always making something. I just feel like, I don't know. Anyways.
And the other part really is then you have to ship all those cars all around the world, and you're not shipping or using strip mining to make the batteries on vehicles that use electricity.
Yeah.
Could you imagine going to a mine and then seeing electric front end loader and electric dump trucks and electric excavators and they're all huge diesel
it's never gonna
vehicles. I know
in the military with older vehicles. I'm going to make a call here. It's never going to happen. All right, Jay, what do we got next here?
All right. Okay. So the dark reality, child slave labor and chocolate production. A large portion of the world's cocoa beans, around 2/3, comes from West Africa.
Wow, just that much for the one part of the continent. Wow.
With the Ivory Coast alone supplying about 45% globally.
Wow.
Shockingly, a report from 2015 revealed that over 2 million children were forced into labor in cocoa-growing regions of West Africa. In these areas, many parents cannot afford to send their children to school, so they are instead used as cheap labor on farms. Some children are even trafficked from even poorer countries like Burkina Faso and Mali, with traffickers luring them with money and gifts. Once in the Ivory Coast, these children endure grueling manual labor all year round, earning a meager income around 85 cents per day if they're lucky.
So one candy bar per day.
Yeah, basically. Disturbingly, a survey conducted in 2009 found that about half of the interviewed children were not allowed to return home, while more than 2/3 faced threats and physical violence. Some children even reported not receiving any payment for their labor, which I would suspect happens a lot.
Yeah, sure. Who are they going to complain to? The HR department?
Yeah. Do they have bank accounts? How do they get paid? And where do they keep their money?
I'm sure there's a lot of nefarious stuff that happens with these kids there. I don't even want to.
Yes.
Yeah, child labor. I don't know what to say. I don't if you lived in an area where your kids are going to be stolen from you for labor, just don't have kids. Just count your blessings. You made it to adulthood and just don't have a family. We have people in Canada and the US where child bearing or child rearing or child creation is down. And a lot of the reasons why it's down is because a lot of people are feeling, I can't raise my kids here. You
can't bring them into, you feel guilty. You're bringing them into world where you know that they'll struggle to survive.
That's right.
We're looking at how many billions and trillions of dollars are being wasted by our governments, creating this massive inflation. And you look at how will my children ever own a home?
Yeah,
how can my children who live on their own, how can they?
That's right. Go ahead.
So, so people now looking at, okay, I'm going to bring children into this, and what will their prospects of posterity be?
It's almost selfish. Unless you have the kind of money to
generational wealth,
yeah.
The flip side is this: you're a company that creates chocolate. You do not have to put yourself in an industry where you're abusing the labor of children, if at all possible. There's that aspect of it too. I don't know what I do as a consumer. I guess I never eat chocolate again, but that won't stop chocolate from being used unless everybody does it all at the same time.
Right. Hey, they'll start with this podcast, Jay. We're changing the world one thing at a time.
One podcast at a time.
Yeah, and I know these are tough topics. It's always tough.
The companies that create chocolate could maybe improve the conditions in which they're taking their cocoa beans from.
And this is another situation where try to buy locally as best you can. Try to support independent chocolate growers or chocolate producers because they do exist. Yes, the Ivory Coast takes care of half, not quite half. But so that means there's places that aren't using Ivory Coast cocoa. So that's who you try to. So the same way you try to buy that free range chicken, try to buy that free range chocolate. See where it's being produced locally. And there are companies that do that locally. That's what they pride their business on. They'll say this chocolate was grown here in Canada or US. This was done here. We take care of it here. Okay. All right. Tough topic when you're talking about kids, right? All right. Next one. Now, have you ever heard of Kobe beef?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we're talking about Kobe and Wagyu beef. So, Jay, have you ever noticed the increasing number of restaurants offering Kobe and Wagyu beef? It's surprising how these super rare and expensive meats have become so common and affordable lately. Now, the reason behind this is that what you're getting is likely not the real deal. So Wagyu refers to Japanese cows of various breeds like black, brown, polled, and shorthorn. Among them, Kobe beef is the most prestigious and comes from cows inseminated by only 12 special bulls in the Hyogo region of Japan. So each year, only a small number of cattle, around 3,000 to 4,000, that's not a lot compared to how much meat is out there, qualify as authentic Kobe beef. And only a fraction of that makes it to America. So in fact, there are only 8 restaurants in the entire United States that serve genuine Kobe beef. And it is never sold in retail. Okay. But what about the non-Kobe Wagyu beef? You might think that's legitimate, right? Chances are it's not. According to the American Wagyu Association, out of a total of 40,000 Wagyu-influenced cows in America, less than 5,000 are considered purebred. So again, 40,000, less than 5 are considered purebred. The rest fall under the F1, which is 50% pure, F2, 75% pure, and F3, 93.75% pure ranking system. So the Wagyu beef you find at your local restaurant is likely an F1 crossbreed. So be wary there, folks who want to eat that authentic Kobe beef. There's only 8 restaurants in the U.S. that do it. Which ones they are, I guess you have to do your own research on that. So if you're ordering Kobe beef at your restaurant, I wonder if it's one of the 8.
So what allows a retail store
to lie?
To say that we have Wagyu beef?
It has to be at least 50%. That's what they're saying. So they have 3 categories, F1, 2, and 3. So if you have at least F1, you can advertise it. It's like saying you're drinking Sunkist orange juice or orange drink. Sorry. You can't say juice, but you can say orange drink. And you can have a picture of an orange on your carton, but there's not any orange in that orange drink or orange juice. So that's how they get away with it. They could say it's Kobe beef. It's not 100% Kobe beef, but it's Kobe beef plus what else? but you can say it's Kobe beef and other things, but you just don't have to say other things. That's probably how they get away with it.
Okay, so kind of go along with a similar theme is the olive oil industry. When olives are harvested during autumn and winter nights, they are crushed and mixed into a paste. This paste goes through a process where the oil is separated from the rest. The resulting oil is then classified into 3 categories: extra virgin olive oil, which is the highest quality, virgin olive oil, medium, and lampante olive oil, the lowest quality. Unfortunately, unless you buy olive oil directly from a producer or a certified distributor, there's a high chance that the Italian extra virgin olive oil you find in the stores is fake. Shockingly, it is estimated that around 80% of Italian olive oil on the market is counterfeit. The situation is not much better in Italy itself, where an estimated 50% of olive oil is fake. A study conducted by the National Consumer League examined olive oil bottles from Whole Foods, Safeway, Trader Joe's, and Giant. Out of the 11 bottles tested, 6 did not meet the standards for extra virgin olive oil set by the International Olive Council. Misleading of extra virgin olive oil can occur due to the use of rotten olives during production, the use of old oils, or even the addition of cheaper seed oils.
And we talked about this a little bit on our last episode together. We were talking about the unique ice cream flavors. There's olive oil ice cream. There's an ongoing theme throughout a lot of these is to avoid the lies of these companies. You have to go local or independent. That's why you're paying a little bit more, but that's the whole point. Because when you buy olive oil from an actual producer versus a certified distributor, that's what you're getting. You're getting the real thing. You're not getting a fake. But it's going to cost you more because it's not fake, because it's cheaper to produce fake. Is that what you do with your olive oil? Is that what you're saying?
That is what I try. And I do with a little bit of hesitation. I'm hoping that what I'm experiencing, which feels very legit and honest, is actually legit and honest. From what I can see and from what I have read about how to properly buy olive oil, this company that's local is doing all the things, and I'm having all the experiences when I do eat it. There's a peppery in your middle of your throat, a cough that's associated when you take a sample of it or a tablespoon of it. You have a response to it, a kind of a cough, because there's a little bit of an irritation, a little bit of a pepperiness to it. I think I'm experiencing what legitimate olive oil is supposed to be. The way that they label, the way that they have all the batches, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I've read of this, and I know these things. So I'm hoping that the olive oil I eat is legit. I trust that experience is better than the one that I'm having when I go to the larger grocery stores. It would not surprise me that the oil is inferior, that it's cut with other seed oils. And the last thing you want to be eating is seed oils that are rancid. It creates a lot of inflammatory stresses on your body. It's not good. But who knows? I could be fooled. I can be fooled just like anybody else.
I think you're doing as good as you can, Jay. You're probably giving more thought to the oil than a lot of people. So good for you. I think you're doing just fine. All right. The next one. This one I think most people know or suspected, or when we say this, they're like, oh, of course. But I think you're going to be a little bit surprised of just how much damage is happening here with water. So tap water in the United States may not always be the best choice. We know that. People don't like to drink right from the tap, as they say, because tap water contains traces of antibiotics, painkillers, hormones, and various other drugs that people flush down the drain. Unfortunately, water treatment plants struggle themselves to filter out these substances. Additionally, there are harmful chemicals called PFAS, which are associated with liver damage, immune dysfunction, cancer, thyroid issues, and other health problems. PFAS are used in products that resist heat, oil, stains, grease, and water. What I'm saying by tap water is bottled water is mostly tap water. So when you're drinking your bottled water, chances are it's literally just filtered tap water as the water treatment or company Sure, they might be filtering your water to a degree, but it has all this stuff in it still. Okay. So an alarming number of approximately 200 million Americans have their tap water contaminated with PFAS. Interestingly, Americans consume more packaged water than any other country in the world. Shockingly, nearly half of bottled water is simply tap water that may have undergone minimal testing and processing. Moreover, the production of bottled water leads to a significant amount, you guessed it, of plastic waste that often ends up not being recycled. And then recycling uses, of course, fossil fuels and everything else. Jay, what we do in our home is we have a water filtering system. That's the best thing I think you can do. Is I forget what the company is, but it looks like those jugs you put on top of it and you refill them, the big container gallon things. It's empty and you fill it with the tap water from your sink. You go hand carry it, and if it plugs into the wall, has a cool and a heater. I think that's the best way to do it is because it's a filter that filters your water. And that's probably as best as you're going to get. That's what I recommend. That's what we do in our house is we don't buy bottled water because of the plastics and it's all the waste that plastic does. And we agree that especially where we live, the tap water isn't very good. But yeah, we filter it and it tastes better. And I assume it's working because if it does taste better, it must be filtering something because the taste is better. What do you do with water?
There is a filter in the fridge.
Okay, there you go.
But I also have a Brita.
I think I think it's a decent company. I think they're a good company as far as filtering goes.
Now I've gone to the Costco version just because the filters are so much cheaper. But I would suspect it does the same thing. Costco, rarely do they go copy something and have it as a worse quality. I would suspect that their quality is similar to Brita. So that's what I do. It tastes like less flavor. There's less flavor to the water.
Water shouldn't have a taste.
I would think, yeah.
Water shouldn't have it. David, who's in our chat. Again, if you want to join our chat, join our Discord and join our socials that I put in the show notes so you can get notifications when we go live. But David just wants to say so far, he's never eating again. Thanks, guys. Yeah,
we're just doing our part, right?
Yeah, we're
helping.
That's right. Hey, at the very least, you'll lose weight and eventually die. But you'll lose weight first before you die. So I was just going to say really quickly here, when we traveled across Canada to move to our new place here for the next few years, we stopped at a river on one of our stops, a nice, beautiful glacier river. And I told the kids, scoop your hands in that water and take a drink because that's nature's water. It just something about it, you just know. I knew this was glacier water, and you just put your hand in that river, and it's a nice roaring river. It's clear as glass, and just that's water, folks. That's as good as you can get.
And where was that again?
It was in BC. I forget.
Oh, okay.
Was it Nelson? I forget the town, but it was our first day or so. But now you know why. Obviously, like the indigenous tribes and stuff, they would obviously set up a campground. That's their fresh water, ongoing, endless water supply. So yeah,
and the water supply for the animals that they would hunt and kill and eat naturally.
Yeah, no machines.
Imagine that.
I know.
Why is eating so complicated? It should be. We're like the only animal. We're like the only animal on Earth that needs instructions of how to eat.
It's true.
Why is it so complicated?
Ironically, with all of our growth and knowledge and understanding, you're right, Jason. When it comes to eating, I think even a vegetarian would have to agree with you with a certain degree. Meaning, go back 200 years. And mankind was around for a long time. They would go to the river, bathe in it, drink from it, and there's the caribou drinking from it. Take a bow and arrow, take it out, wear the clothes from the skin, eat the food from that carcass, give your thanks to the gods, and nobody was fat, nobody was sick. We've complicated life by being smart.
We've complicated too much. Eating should be the least of our concerns.
And they didn't farm. That's the thing. Farming, I think farming ruined food.
It did.
It's supposed to be berry and meat. If you think about it, it's supposed to be berries and meat. That's what we're supposed to eat. That's what we ate for hundreds of thousands of years. We had to figure it out. And someone was like, no, but I can plant corn. Let's see how corn does. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Next one. Okay.
So Oatly, which I suspect is a type of oat milk.
Yeah, it's a brand name, but if other brands are going to fall into the same sins of Oatly's, but yeah.
Yeah, so it's an alternative to milk. especially for those who can't handle lactose and they feel like they need to have some type of milk product.
Sure.
So Oatly has gained massive popularity through the major advertising, and their ingredients are apparently simplified to oat, and we all think oat is really
Sure, it's a grain.
healthy for us.
It's a grain that grows in the
Yeah.
Look, oats. Yeah.
Yeah. But a major component of Oatly is maltose, a type of sugar. Surprisingly, a 12-ounce serving of Oatly has a glycemic index of 77 and a glycemic load of 18.4. This means it can significantly impact blood sugar levels, similarly to a 12-ounce cola, which has a glycemic index of 63 and a glycemic load of 20.8.
So basically, one glass of Oatly is drinking a glass of Coke.
Yes, as far as the sugar goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Another ingredient found in Oatly is rapeseed oil, which contains omega-3 fatty acids. However, see, this is what goes back to the seed oils that are cut with olive oil. The processes used to produce rapeseed oil leads to the oxidation of these omega-3s. So that's like a rancidity, right? That gets rancid. This oxidation can have negative effects on your health, including heart disease, organ damage, inflammation, and even cancer. In fact, the consumption of rapeseed oil has been linked to cardiovascular disease, metabolic syndrome, decreased brain function, Alzheimer's disease, inflammation, and other health problems. Lastly, Oatly contains dipotassium phosphate, which can lead to high levels of phosphates in the blood. This can contribute to various health issues, including poor bone health, calcium deposits, hardening of the arteries in the heart, and an increased risk of cardiovascular disease. In summary, while Oatly may seem like a healthy choice, it's important to be aware of its potential drawbacks and consider alternative options.
So, drink Oatly, you won't get the shites anymore. I think I'll take a bad day on the toilet.
Sure.
Than all this stuff.
Or not feel the need to have a milk alternative.
Yeah, I never drink milk. I don't drink milk just because of my diet that I have now, but I never even drank milk as a kid, really, or as an adult. I can't even remember the last quote unquote glass of cold milk I ever had. Back when I used to eat cereal, so I put milk in cereal, but now that I don't eat cereal anymore, there's no need to have milk. And I don't eat ice cream.
Do you put cream? Do you put cream in your coffee?
Yes. So I guess that is a milk product.
Gotcha.
Well, I don't drink milk. But cream and the heavier cream is the 33% cream is less sugar than
absolutely.
Yeah.
And the amount that you use to cream up your coffee is a couple tablespoons. Yeah.
I'm not drinking a glass of cream.
I used to be addicted to milk.
I remember that. I remember you used to love
drink
milk.
Gallons.
Yeah, I remember.
Who knew?
Milk does a body good. Remember that slogan?
Yeah. I think there's worse things to drink than milk. Yeah, that's for sure.
Oatly.
But Oatly, let's get back to Oatly.
Oatly is worse than milk.
Oatly is far worse. And think again of the processing that is required to make this milk alternative.
Than just squeezing the teeth of a cow. You got
to you got to go through this whole process of
oxidation and all these other things, and then you have to
add oils and sugar and blah,
all
blah,
those
blah,
things
blah.
Have to be made in a factory to put in.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like you have factories creating factories to make product to put in the product. Like it's insane how much is produced to make one thing. Right. This company is also like the Oatly company, for example, they're shipping in the ingredients to their company to mix their ingredients together to make their product. So these other places are making the ingredients.
And then think of the environmental impact. If we all want to be environmentalists, or environmentalist hats on for a second, think of how much is required to gather these ingredients, ship them all around the world to different factories, different processing plants to make these alternatives to real food.
Yeah,
it makes no sense to me.
Yeah, Oatly's okay. This one I knew to a degree that I knew that this was happening, and I get it. But let's break it down. So supermarkets, your grocery store, they're designed to make you spend more money. Now I say that to you, listener, and you're like, "Oh, I think I knew that." But let me break it down how they do it. So it all starts as soon as you enter the supermarket, where you're greeted by those big shopping carts. Did you know, Jay, that over the years the size of shopping carts has tripled? And it's no coincidence. The larger carts are designed to encourage you to fill them up with more items. And did you ever notice that most supermarkets have one-way entry doors? This means you have to walk further to find your way out again. It's a clever trick to keep you inside the store for longer, increasing the chances of you making more purchases. And once you're inside, the supermarket strategically places the produce and bakery sections right at the front. The enticing smell of freshly baked goodies and the vibrant display of fruits and vegetables are meant to make you hungry and in a positive mood. And they even spray water on the produce to make it look fresher, but this actually spoils vegetables faster. And have you realized that the dairy section is often located far away from the entrance? That's intentional. They want you to pass by numerous other products and distractions, hoping you'll pick up more items along the way. Because a lot of people go to the store to get some milk. I just got to grab a jug of milk or cream. Right. But they make you go further through the store because you have to see all these other chips and this and that along the way. But let's not forget about those shelves, Jason, that you're actually passing. So take a close look next time you're shopping. The more expensive items are often placed at eye level, while the cheaper ones are either really high or really low, so you have to stretch or crouch to reach them. Oh, and did you know that cereal packaging for kids is designed to catch their attention? The mascots and the boxes are positioned to look directly at children at their eye level, making it harder for them to resist asking their parents to buy them. And to make matters worse, supermarkets often play music and intentionally don't have any windows or clocks. This creates a pleasant atmosphere and makes it harder for you to keep track of time, leading you to spend more time and potentially more money in the store. Does this sound familiar at all as you're going through the stores?
Yeah, absolutely it does. And it all makes sense. And if you have a couple brain cells in your head, this all makes sense, right? Like
this isn't surprising.
But it is fascinating to think about.
Yeah, sure. Sorry. Yeah. But I always have a rule when I go shopping. Don't shop on an empty stomach. Make a list. Go in with a list. Go in with an idea. Don't go in, I wonder what I'm going to eat this week. I would recommend go in with a list of what you want to buy.
I'm thankful as I've streamlined my life a bit. I don't have a massive list of items that I eat. I eat a very select amount of food, and my grocery shopping now takes about 5-10 minutes. I get the same stuff every time.
Right.
It doesn't vary a lot, and I just focus on nutrient dense foods, and I just get those same foods.
Right.
And because I'm basically cooking for myself at this stage of my life, I don't have children at home to worry about or anything like that. I just cook. Sorry, I'm just reading David's comment. That's hilarious. Costco shopping carts are bigger than my car.
Yeah, they're big. They are big.
Yeah. That has simplified my life. Simplify your diet and you simplify your shopping experience. You're in and out much quicker. And chances are, if you have a simplified diet, you're probably eating healthier.
All right, Jay, you got the last one.
Yeah. Pet food. We're going to talk about our pet foods. Ryan, you have a dog?
I have a dog and 3 cats. Yes.
Oh, and 3 cats.
Yeah.
Wow, they keep on multiplying.
Yeah.
So, have you ever wondered about the ingredients in your pet food and what they really mean? Let's start by talking about where pet food companies source their meat from. They often get their meat from rendering plants, which are essentially large kitchens that process raw animal carcasses to remove moisture and fat. At these rendering plants, you will find piles of dead dogs, cats, rats, skunks, raccoons, as well as hooves and heads from sheep, horses, pigs, and cattle. To make matters worse, you'll also find millions of maggots feasting on their carcasses. The meat used in pet food could also contain toxic waste. This includes livestock that has been exposed to pesticides, insecticides, patches used on cattle, antibiotics given to livestock, and heavy metals from pet ID tags, surgical needles, and pins. Additionally, there are organophosphates from contaminated fish, euthanasia drugs from deceased pets, and even plastic from unsold supermarket meats, chicken, and fish. And let's not forget about the other ingredients in pet food. They often consist of grains that are not suitable for human consumption, as well as preservatives, fillers, and additives. To make matters worse, the bags used to package pet food have been found to be contaminated with PFASs, a harmful substance that doesn't break down in nature and can accumulate in animals and humans, leading to kidney disease, liver disease, birth defects, and cancer. Unfortunately, even your veterinarian may not have all the answers when it comes to your pet's nutrition. Many universities that train future vets receive funding from major pet food companies, and some even allow employees from these companies to teach about nutrition. Even respected organizations like the American Veteran medical association can be influenced by these companies.
Yeah, money. You buy if any company. Sorry,
Well, it's a lobby. It's a lobbying
Yeah.
situation. They come in and they teach the people who are trying to learn about nutrition. It happens in the medical field as well. They have medications that they want to sell.
right.
They have pet food that they want to sell.
Let's do the research for you. Oh, it's fine. Take this vaccination. It's fine. It's fine. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along. Move along.
Yeah. Given all these concerns, it's important to be cautious and informed when choosing pet food for your furry friends. Consider exploring alternative options or consulting with experts who prioritize the health and well-being of your pets.
Again, this is best you can. Buy like those independent brands who you just know the difference. Like you go to Walmart, for example, and you buy that pet food, and it's like that alley cat. It's like, oh, come on. Unfortunately, you got to buy a little bit higher. These are your fur babies. Don't buy them the shiny food. Like we're pretty good about not doing that. We do buy as high end as we can. Costs us a couple bucks, but like the food that we buy is pretty high quality dog and cat food. And I think a lot of what we just read here, Jay, it's referred to that. What I'm saying, there's a brand called Alley Cat here in Canada. It's just, don't buy that stuff. If it's cheap, there's a reason. They're preying on their wallet. They want you to buy supply and demand. So they're going to have more of that cheap stuff, crappy stuff. But go to those pet stores or the independent ones and talk to those owners. Say, hey, what do you feed your dog?
We did a lot of times feed our dog, raw meat.
Yep.
And chicken and the turkey at Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners or whatever.
Yeah, I feed my dog
a lot.
I give my dog a lot of leftovers. Let's say we're having chicken and rice and the kid didn't quite finish it. I'll just mix it up, chop it up a little bit, and I'll put it in a dog dish. There you go. There's chicken and rice for your meal. That's better than the dry dog food. So
yeah, it cannot be worse.
No, it can't be worse. You would think if I'm eating soft chicken breasts and rice, or if she loves broccoli, broccoli is very good for dogs. So I'll give her my seasoned broccoli that I didn't quite finish. So she'll eat that. So definitely, broccoli has to be better than dog food. Yeah. And my dog was a rescue from Mexico and she was eating out of garbage cans. So I'm pretty sure, what I'm giving her is better than what she had in Mexico. All right, let's go over really quickly here. The truths that we uncovered. And I'm sure there's a few out there that we didn't, but these are the big ones. Chicken is banned in the EU because of the poor quality. They don't want our chicken. Michelin stars, are they a blessing or curse for restaurants? Maybe they have one, but maybe they don't want to have them. Lab-grown meat to regular meat maybe it's just better to have regular meat. Child slave labor in chocolate production. Kobe beef, not really Kobe beef. Of course, misleading olive labels. Bottled water is mostly tap water. The design of supermarkets to make you spend more money. And lastly, Jason, of course, pet food. Which one, Jay, do you think is the worst lie or truth that we uncovered in the food industry? And what's your reasons?
None of these are surprising because the food industry, like any capitalistic enterprise, they're there to make money. And,
of course.
And so they're there to stretch the truth or whitewash the truth as to the practices of how they get like Wagyu, pretending it's actually not Wagyu because it's sold all over the place. It's not 100% or whatever. But I think our need for chocolate shouldn't be that high that we're requiring child labor to produce it. That's something that our society can go without.
Yeah, we don't need chocolate. We don't need chocolate.
No.
You could argue pets should have their food and, hey, restaurants should achieve a high standard. So those are things that, sure. But the worst offender is definitely child slave labor to produce chocolate, which nobody needs. We don't need it. You can live your whole life and never have chocolate. You don't need it to live. We definitely need water to live and other things. So let me just pick a second one where I feel, despite that it's not
associated with child labor.
Yeah, so that's the worst offender. I think that's the one that so next time you're buying an old Henry bar or whatever, Snickers, right. Think about where that chocolate came from before you take a bite. Maybe consider going to if you're really in the mood for sweets. I'm not begrudging if you want to have sweet chocolate. I get it. I love it.
No, that's not what it's about.
Try to go to those local shops. They are there. And every city has those local little mom and pop shops to sell your candy and chocolates to create their own chocolate, right? And you can know this was not child slave labor chocolate. That's all I'm saying. But I think the one that I don't know why, but I think because it's so duplicitous, I guess one thing to have half Kobe meat, whatever. But the Oatleys, it's like, hey, you have the shites when you drink milk. Well, try this cancer-inducing drink instead. It's such garbage. It just goes beyond tap water or anything else to me. It's not healthy at all. Just because it has an oat on the cover, you're basically drinking chemicals. I would say if you're lactose intolerant, folks, take medication or just don't drink milk. Just move on, or just have a bad day in the bathroom. Just do it on the weekends when you know you're home near your toilet. Just take a hit, because drinking that stuff or things like Oatleys, drinking stuff that is a replacement is just bad for you. All right. That's it. Thank you, everyone. Send us an email. We haven't got an email in forever. I wonder if we'll ever get one. But send us an email. Give us some ideas of what you'd like us to cover. Or, yeah, we appreciate it. Also, rate and review us on iTunes. I never say this, but really, even if you just give us a rating, you can actually give a star rating on iTunes or Spotify without writing a synopsis. If you want just to give the rating, we really appreciate to see the ratings go up on our iTunes. With that, remember, in front of every silver lining, there's a cloud. And today, we both agree that obviously child slave labor to produce chocolate, and in second place, Oatleys for being absolutely a garbage replacement of milk.